Hello, BookTube. Who's up for a mail haul? It's a modest number of packages, but that gives us more time for tedious Grandpa Simpson rants and digressions, doesn't it? So let's start with this one. Light as a feather. Could be a mass market paperback. Steve prepares to lose his cookies. It is. No, but it's not. It's not a historical. This is Maya Banks, Brighter Than the Sun. That man is wearing a tank top and he's brandishing a firearm. Neither of which happened in the Regency period. It's got a blurb from J.C. Burton, the queen of contemporary fiction, romance fiction. So let's see here. The organization involved here is KGI, the Kelly Group International. Sounds like women's cosmetics, but it isn't. You're just supposed to think that. It's a super elite, top secret, family-run business. No specifications. A super elite, top secret, family-run business could apply to almost anything. It applies to the United States' current first family. Qualifications: high intelligence. Oh, there goes that idea. Rock hard body. Military background. Mission: hostage, kidnap, victim recovery. Intelligence gathering. Handling jobs the U.S. government can't. Well, okay. As the last unattached member of the Kelly clan, Joe is more than ready to risk life and limb on any mission he's assigned to. But when it comes to love, he'll keep his distance. He's content to watch his brothers become thoroughly domesticated. Perhaps Joe should try a walk on the other side of the beach. Just a thought. Zoe had, no, there goes that idea, has had nothing but heartbreak in her life, and she's determined to start over with a completely new identity thanks to her college friend Rusty Kelly. But it's the gorgeous smile and tender words of Joe Kelly that begin to weaken her resolve to never risk her heart again. And Joe will have to put everything on the line to save Zoe when the... Oh, Joe, Zoe, they're made for each other. When secrets from her past resurface and threaten to tear them apart. All right, so since Joe is the last rock hard member of the Kelly clan to have a boring heterosexual marriage, I'm assuming that then there are lots of other... Oh, God, there are lots. Good Lord, the Kelly clan. The line stretches out to the crack of doom. All right, so he's the last, and it's just about time. All right, so Brighter Than the Sun, Maya Banks. This has no information on it whatsoever. I'm assuming that it's out in maybe March, something like that. I don't think it would be out right away. A very saucy start. So I don't know, how can these other books catch up? There is a kind of a box that we're ending with. It's kind of flat. Might be a pizza. Let's see. Let's see what we have now. Oh, goodness gracious. Oh, my. It's an olive book. I seem to be getting a lot of those these days. This is Moscow Spring. Moscow 1956, The Silenced Spring by Kathleen Smith. And let's see. This is on February 25th, 1956. Nikita Khrushchev shocked the closed gathering of the Communist Party elite with appalling facts about the terror that had been unleashed against innocent Soviet civilians in the name of the revolution. In a few hours, Khrushchev shattered the myth of Stalin's infallibility and promised to restore collective rule and socialist legality. Just days after his secret speech, the decision was made to read out the denunciation of Stalin's cult of personality to party members across the Soviet Union, one of whom was a young Mikhail Gorbachev. What followed was a year of political, social, and cultural upheaval that ended with alarmed party leaders scrambling to contain unrest in Poland, put down a popular uprising in Hungary, and silence critics at home. In this book, Kathleen Smith traces the year that Khrushchev's denunciation of Stalin's grave abuses both promised and threatened change, depending on one's perspective. Interesting. Oh, that's fascinating. All right, so this comes out in April. And who is Kathleen Smith when she's at home? She's a teaching professor in the School of Foreign Service at Georgetown University. No idea if this is her first book. She picked a winner of a subject, though. Great. Okay, fantastic. Then we have this thing here. It's huge. And when I see these big white envelopes, I always kind of hope for science fiction fantasy. That would be nice. But we'll see what we get here. Oh, no. Oh, no. It's Oxford University Press. Okay. All right, so this is a book for July, and it's called Martin Luther, Rebel in an Age of Upheaval by Heinz Schilling. This is the third, or maybe even the fourth, Martin Luther book that I've gotten in the last, I don't know, 4 months, because it's the 500th year anniversary of the Protestant Reformation. Yes, okay, this year marks the 500th anniversary of the Reformation. Heinz Schilling, one of Germany's leading social and political historians, gives the reader a rounded view of a difficult, contradictory character, that's putting it mildly, difficult, contradictory, who changed the world by virtue of his immense will. Okay. All right. It may have become obvious to some of you that Steve is not a big fan of the pig Martin Luther. Difficult, contradictory is a nice way of saying that he was a hypocritical a-hole. And it wasn't his immense will that changed the world. It was a capricious decision by a European prince to protect him militarily, or he would have ended up just the way all sorts of other troublemakers did in the hands of the church. The Protestant Reformation need not have happened the way Luther made it happen. Oh, God. Doesn't happen on Memento Mori's channel, does it? It could have happened as a Reformation from within, which is what, among other people, the Dutch humanist Erasmus wanted. It didn't have to be fire and the sword. It didn't have to lead to centuries of Christians killing Christians. That didn't have to happen. But one could argue that no other German has shaped the history of modern Europe more than Martin Luther. In this comprehensive and balanced biography, we see Luther as a rebel, but not as a lone hero, as a soldier in a mighty struggle for the universal reform of Christianity and its role in the world. Okay. All right. Can we name a German who has shaped the history of modern Europe more than Martin Luther? Anybody? Bueller? Einstein, of course, has shaped it. But I will still read it. I am getting... publishers definitely know that it's a year for Reformation studies, so I'm getting more of them. I've got a stack of Luther books now, and there are bound to be others. Of course, there won't be an Erasmus book. But who knows what else might happen. I'm hooked in with the scholarly presses, so I will start to get this stuff, and I'm all for it. I am a student going way back of the Reformation. And then we've got another one of these things. If it's a duplicate of this one, I'm going to be very upset. Not really. I won't really be very upset. It's still a free book. The rest of you would have perfect grounds to be angry with me if I got upset about anything in these videos. But no, it's not. It's oh my. Okay. All right. This is the finished copy of Unwarranted, Policing Without Permission, by Barry Friedman, who is a Jacob D. Fuchsberg Professor of Law at New York University School of Law and the director of the Policing Project. For 30 years, he has taught, written about, and litigated issues of constitutional law and criminal procedure. Okay. I was just about to get to the advanced reader's copy of this book. I'm just about to do it. It's on a launch pad as we speak. So I will. It comes out on February 21st. So I will skip reading the ARC and just read this finished copy instead. And I think we can guess from the title what it's about. A very depressing subject. It's all blurbs. Son of a gun. The pub sheet is all blurbs. No description. In June 2013, documents leaked by Edward Snowden sparked widespread debate about secret government surveillance of Americans. Just over a year later, the shooting of Michael Brown, a black teenager in Ferguson, Missouri, set off protests and triggered concerns about militarization of law enforcement and discriminatory policing. In Unwarranted, Barry Friedman argues that these two seemingly disparate events are connected. And that problem is not so much the policing agencies as the rest of us. We allow these agencies to operate in secret and to decide how to police us rather than calling the shots ourselves. And the courts, which we depend on for supervising policing, have let us down entirely. Okay. Policing is everyone's problem, is the one-line tag for this. Okay. All right. I watched both those stories very closely, the Edward Snowden and especially Ferguson. And the militarization of the police is exactly right. You can call it up on YouTube. You can see endless cell phone clips of police in Ferguson using full-on military assault weapons and assault vehicles, the type that were built, that were contracted and shipped out for use in Iraq and Afghanistan, not for use in Ferguson, Missouri, or your hometown. I say this: the idea of militarization of ideas, the militarization of the police. I say that firsthand because of the Boston Marathon bombing here in Boston. In the days following that, police went door to door in the neighborhoods where the chatter suspected that the remaining gunmen might be hiding, and they didn't ask. They went with tanks and full body armor and assault weapons, demanding that citizens not stand in the windows, demanding that citizens walk out of their houses single file with their hands over their heads. And, it's all well and good to say policing starts with us. We are letting the system down by not demanding accountability. But if any of those people had demanded accountability, they would have been arrested at the very least. So I don't know how much accountability you can demand in the face of a tank, except we all remember one Chinese undergraduate, armed with nothing more than a backpack, stood in front of a tank and changed the idea of the world about repressive governments putting down peaceful demonstrations. Changed the idea of the world about whether or not that was good or bad in everyone's mind except the current president of the United States, who praised the Chinese government for their behavior in Tiananmen Square. Not the boy with the backpack. Sorry. Some of these things are easier than others for me to avoid that subject, the gigantic Cheeto-colored elephant in the room. Some of them are harder than others. The current president of the United States believes that all people in the United States who are not white are guilty of a crime. And he just doesn't know what it is yet. Not matter who, they don't have to be on a list or anything. They're all guilty until proven innocent. If they're innocent, if they're proven innocent by one of his cronies, the prize they get is the ability to work for minimum wage in one of his establishments. Nothing else. Try to work for a rival establishment, and you must be guilty of a crime. We'll look into you again. And this is the buck stops here. This is the person who controls those tanks and assault weapons. So, but anyway, last thing, I did promise rants, didn't I? Is a box, but it's kind of thin. It's kind of oddly shaped. So let's see what it is. Secondary wrapping. So, no idea why this wasn't good enough, but or why the box wasn't good enough alone. But let's see what we have here. Oh. Okay, it's a kid's book. I don't get many of those on camera. I am not a chair. Oh, very nice. I imagine that is a saying. I am not a chair is probably a saying that many a beleaguered adult has had. On Giraffe's first day in the jungle, he felt something wasn't right. Can I share that chair? Chair? I'm not a chair. They're sitting on him. Oh my. Okay. Okay, great. Well, I won't be reviewing I Am Not a Chair, but I will find it a home. Or who knows, maybe I will review it. Why not? Open Letters Weekly is mine to do with as I please. It's the book. It's brand new. No pub sheet. Just a receipt. So I don't know the date that this comes out. So we start and end with a book whose date I don't know. But that's all right. Easy to find out. So there you have it. I Am Not a Chair. Unwarranted, about the government and police in collusion to erode your civil rights in America. Martin Luther, Rebel in an Age of Upheaval. Moscow, 1956, in which Nikita Khrushchev said that Stalin was not a god, that he was evil. It makes me. This book is not the first book in the last 2 years that I've to make me wish for a 1,000-page Khrushchev biography. I think it's long overdue, and I'm trying to remember. I seem vaguely to remember that there is one that was done in Russia, and that's huge, and that was critically acclaimed in Russia, but that has not been translated. Those of you who are in Russia or who know Russia, am I wrong? Am I imagining things? I could swear I remember word of it getting around even into English language book circles. But there's a gigantic Khrushchev biography that hasn't yet been translated, but that was well regarded. I'd love to know. I'd love to see it. And then Maya Banks, Brighter Than the Sun, a romance novel. So a kid's book, contemporary sociology, a big fat biography, history, and a romance. That's quintessential Steve Hall if ever I heard one. So that's it for now, and I'll see you soon, BookTube. Thank you.